Welcome back to another reading and correcting with me, Kindar, the Tiger Writes, and Ty, the Tiger Supervisor. These are where I read a chapter from one of my stories and correct it as I go. If you want to listen to these live, it's every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time on Twitch. And if you are looking to support me, that is on my Patreon. Today, we are doing chapter 29 of Once Broken. No one showed up for training the day after the funeral. Alex reminded himself not everyone had his level of dedication or was as unaffected by death as him by death. Keeping that in mind as he trained alone was difficult. His anger kept spiking, and he muttered about laziness and the need to prepare. Done, he clipped the knives to his harness, ensuring those needing power had full charge and that the polycarbon ones hadn't chipped. He knew they had. They hadn't. He'd already gone through every knife he'd collected during the battle, but he had nothing else to do. At least until a group of Somalians approached from the town. They weren't the fighters, so he wasn't surprised when they headed for the house instead of him. But it reminded him that that he still had to convince them to leave, and that there was one person who might hold more power than those in charge. He headed for the house too, ignoring Jacoby's curious gaze. He found Ehalas before the healer, speaking softly. When she was done, she moved to the keeper and spoke again. Alex let her go through her rituals. The others cleaned the floor, refilled the lamps, and prayed to the aspects. Aspects. Why do I keep wanting to call them the forces? Probably mixing up stories. She finished with the order keeper on the left of the door, then turned and smiled at him. Alexander, be welcome in our house, and let me add my thanks to those you have received for defending us. Alex shrugged. The town's fighters did most of it. Her ears flicked, a mix of agreement and negation. When she didn't explain herself, he continued. I need your help convincing everyone to leave. She canted her head. Why do you want them to leave? Because whatever happens next here is going to be a lot bigger. Why will anything happen? We won. We won a fight, but this time some of them escaped. Some of them escaped. They're going to have numbers, the kinds of weapons we use. They're going to have numbers. That one makes sense. The kinds of weapons we use. The kind of weapons better weapons than the kind we use. Our ears flicked an affirmative. Now they will know we can beat them, so they will not return. Why would you think that? We won. We won plenty of time before, and more came. Why would it be different now? He was missing something about Somalian psychology. Or maybe this was something about their faith. Before, they all died. No one could report our victory. Now they know. They will look for a weaker town to attack. You clearly don't know corporations. Our response was to cant her head. What if you're wrong? Humans don't think like you do. What if they attack again? She placed a hand on his shoulder. You are here. Tristan is here. Your friend is here. I have faith. Faith isn't going to keep this town safe once we're gone, he wanted to say, but the way she looked at him, the belief in her eyes that this source of them would look after them was disconcerting. She decided that all this was preordained or something, and there was nothing he could do to change her mind. There's nothing he could say to change her mind. How could she be this blind? There was a limit to what Faith could do, he told the voice, calling him a hypocrite to shut up. This wasn't about him, it was about them. Fine. Then can you at least convince them to continue training? If nothing else, they'll be ready for the next attack. And he might be able to beat some sense into them. Alexander, you fought hard. Now is the time to rest. You won. Be at peace. He wrenched himself away from her with a too loud curse. When you know another attack's coming isn't the time to rest, is when you prepare. You need to evacuate the town. You need to get everyone away from here or they're going to die. She looked at him, head canted. She didn't understand what he said. She understood the language, but their psychology was too different on this. She simply didn't grasp the danger they were in. He forced himself to breathe. Cutting her wouldn't help. Cutting all of them wouldn't do any good other than make him feel better. What he needed to do was understand them. Figure out how they thought and find a way to reconcile the difference. Before the humans attacked the town, were there other attacks? He knew the answer, but he wanted her to explain it again, to maybe reach the conclusion herself. Arius flicked an affirmative. In bad years, other towns will try to take our food. If it is bad for us, we will send our warriors to get food from them. How do you decide which town to target? The warriors make that decision, not I. I know, but you know what they're looking for, right? An affirmative flick of the ear. They choose a town which had a good harvest, many birth from the herd, a town that doesn't have many warriors. How do you know any of that? You haven't had a way to talk to those towns in years, and even if you did, why would they tell you anything about how prosperous they were? She canted her head as she processed what he asked. People travel. We send some to visit towns, some come here. They see how we are, then go home. They tell their elders. You send spies to other towns and they report to you. They do the same. Why do you let strangers in? You have to know they'll tell their elders how you're doing. They could decide to attack you. Her head remained canted. How could we refuse travelers? The source welcomes all. Maybe it shouldn't, he grumbled. Okay, so you do intelligence gathering and you pick a town that is both prosperous enough and weak enough, right? What if the only town with enough for you is better defended? Her head said no before she opened her mouth. There is nothing to gain by attacking if we cannot win. It is better to attack any weaker town, take less from each, and return home alive. He had to disconnect. All he had to do now was make her understand. So Somalian will only attack if they know they can win. If they misjudge, they regroup and pick a different target. Her head was still canted. He really should have been talking about this with people who knew fighting. If a town is stronger, we pick another one. Yes. Good enough. Okay. That's the Somalian way. Humans don't do things that way. Is that something you can understand? Humans are different. Yes. If humans find an enemy that's stronger, they're going to attack again and again. Why? So they can win. But they already lost. If they are defeated, why try again? It only leads to their death. They're going to send more people. The city is large, but they send all their warriors to die. It will be too weak to defend itself. And here was another disconnect. She thought there was a limit to how many mercs the corporation could send at one time. How is he supposed to convey the concept of an infinite father to someone who didn't know about the vastness of the universe? What if the warriors you send to attack come from another town, many other towns? Why would they fight for us? You pay them. They get to keep some of the things they bring back. But if they attack for their town, they will have more. Why do they give us some? Because he couldn't think of a way to get her to understand. How could he convey concepts of more population than there were jobs? So some took whatever was available, even merc works, or that some weren't suited for anything but fighting and killing. He'd known there were mercs out there in his corporate times, and if he was honest with himself back then, he hadn't understood why anyone would do that. Not when there was comfortable work available. Humans are different, he said in defeat. There's there will always be more of them willing to fight for some of the spoils. The corporation can and will send ever more of them until they finally win. She gazed at him, and Alex finally thought he'd gotten through to her. You will stop them. It is why you are here. I have faith. Alex groaned. You know that isn't why I'm here. What if the next attack happens after I've left? He hoped Tristan would be done soon, because the way the attacks had been progressing, 2 or 3 other attacks at the most, and there would be nothing left of this town, of this whole area. There had to be a point where the corporation would be fed up with this fighting and resort to dropping that rock from space. She didn't look perturbed by the idea of Alex would leave. The source will see to us. I have faith. Faith isn't going to protect you from orbital strike, he snapped. I do not know. That is her. I do not know what that is. Never mind, took a breath. My point is that if all you have for protection is a belief that you'll be safe, you're already dead. She looked past him. You do not believe the source can keep us safe? She sounded amused. Of course not. It's a thing. It's a half sphere with a light source underneath. It isn't some force that protects the people if it thinks they are worthy of it. She studied him, and Alex fought the urge to squirm under the gaze. Why did you come? She finally asked. You know why. Her head's flicking affirmative. You came because you believe a promise made over the defender bound your lover. That this bond is forcing it, that is, no, bound, bond, that is bound, B-O-U. That is bound, no, wait, no. That is bond, yeah, no, that this bond is forcing him to act contrary to who he is. You are here hoping that by completing a task for the defender, your lover will receive a boon and be free of the bond. Alex didn't bother correcting her on Tristan being his lover. Yeah, so? She smiled, full of teeth, like Somalians always did, but hers managed to convey sadness. How do you believe one, but not the other? If the defender can help your lover, why can't the source protect us? It isn't the same, he growled. You think I want to be here watching him struggle with the fucking wall? You think that if there was a psychologist I could take him to, I wouldn't? So you believe that? I don't believe, he yelled in exasperation. Don't you get that? I'm not the one who believes. Tristan is. He's the one who's been affected by the promise. So somewhere, somehow, he believes in this stuff. I just don't have any other choice. She placed a hand on his shoulder, and he was too tired to get out of it. Then I will believe for you, Alexander. I will believe that he will succeed in his task, that he will receive his boon, and that you will get your lover back. Alex chuckled warily. Riley. You don't get that either. This is about me getting a lover. She canted her head. I have seen how he looks at you. You mean the anger, the hate? No, not that. She was back to studying him. Then I don't know what you saw, and it doesn't matter. All I want is for him to be better, for him to be in control and do what needs to be done, for all this to finally be over. Alexander, you do not need to fear what is coming. The source will look after you as it does us all. Haven't we already had this conversation? I'm not Somalian. The source isn't the source of Somalian. It is the source of all, and that includes humans. You. So what? You think that thing controls everything? That it's behind the corporations attacking this town? It's trying to kill you? Is it trying to kill you? A negative flick of the ear. The source doesn't control. Not in the way you mean. It is the start of all things. It set the paths things will follow through the forest, but it is not one path. It diverges many times. It split, it rejoins, it goes in other directions. All the paths have been laid, but we get to decide which one we follow. We are not its slave, not like the corporation wants us to be for them. The source sets the path we can follow. And you think that along those paths is your protection? Alex shook his head. How can you believe that if you don't believe it wants anything? I know it, because protection came when we needed it. How was that? Alex frowned at her. Oh, you're kidding, right? You can't believe that thing brought us here. I only came here so Tristan can get better. You are here because you believe the story you read, a story you only searched for because you had the defender in your possession, which your lover found in a market on a planet far from here and gave you as a show of affection. It was an act, Alex stated. Possibly. But the defender stayed at your side, even after you determined he had lied. You kept the reminder of the act. Alex raised a hand to stop her. I didn't keep the statue with me. It was on a shelf, pretty much forgotten there, waiting there for you to need him. Alex sighed. You're twisting what happened so it fits your belief system. She smiled. And you are twisting it so it will fit what you believe. We are both expressing faith, if in different things. Alex ground his teeth. Look, this is getting us sidetracked. I'm not here to talk about faith. I'm here so you'll help me convince the town to evacuate. If not that, at least get them to continue with their training. The attacks aren't over, no matter what anyone here believes. You need to trust me on that. I will convey to them what you told me, she said after searching his face. I will explain it as best as I can. But in return, I ask that you think on what I said. You already have faith, Alexander. You simply need to have faith that the source will lead you along the right path. Alex nodded. Of course he had faith. He had faith in Tristan, that he would get better, that eventually this would be over. Now, he just had to have faith that it would happen before this town got wiped off the planet and the two of them along with them. Along with it. Along with it. And that concludes chapter 29 of Once Broken. If you are enjoying this, please leave a like. If you want to know when the next chapter is going to be up, subscribe and hit the bell. If you want to read this story as well as the other books in the series, they are available at all major e-retailer. If you want to support me a different way and get access to basically everything else I've written, that is on my Patreon. And if you want to listen to these live, it's every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time on Twitch. The links are in the notes, and with that, I shall wish you a good day.